radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is no way affiliated with First Consultants, Inc., nor is First Consultants, Inc. a registered investment advisor.
The point of this ad is easy to figure out. That's because the Point is the Point. The Point Restaurant and Lounge in Rochester, that is. Pay attention, because here's a point that you won't want to miss. For dinner tonight or any Tuesday through Saturday night. Look for news about the reopening of the Point Restaurant and Lounge. They are ready to score points with you and your friends. Point yourself in a new direction for your next dining excursion. Make a point to get to the Point. The Point Restaurant and Lounge, 124 Brighton Avenue in Rochester.
Highmark Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Allegheny Health Network are pleased to present a new show on Beaver County Radio called Heroes. Tune in every Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 12:30 for Heroes, a wonderful half-hour segment hosted by Jim Roddy that profiles many of the local heroes in this community. Click highmark.com for more information and then tune in for Heroes this Saturday at 10 and again Sunday at 12:30 on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
Are you ready for a life-changing career? Presley Ridge is seeking mental health professionals to support kids and families in Beaver County. Hiring and retention bonuses are available for new employees. Presley Ridge also offers high-quality clinical supervision and training, flexible schedules, and competitive benefits. Visit presleyridge.org/careers to find current opportunities and apply now. Presley Ridge is an equal opportunity employer.
Jobs, jobs, jobs. Enroll now to secure your future with an exciting career as a hairstylist. Learn what it takes to be the best in your field. Call the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy at 724-843-7700 or visit them online for more information. The Beaver Falls Beauty Academy has what it takes to make you a success. Do what you love and call the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy today to make your dreams come true.
You're listening to 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Well over 2%. In fact, the NASDAQ right now down more than 3%. The government's consumer price index for May rose more than economists were expecting, up 8.6% from a year ago. That was on the heels of an 8.3% increase in April. Soaring prices for food, energy, and shelter playing a major role. If you're like motorist Quentin McZeal in Oakland, California, soaring pump prices putting the squeeze on other parts of your budget.
There's a lot of other things I can't do because I have to pay for gas. You know what I'm saying? Less food, less playtime. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to put gas. I got to go to work, right?
And gas prices this morning averaging at least $4.99 a gallon nationwide. The Democrat-controlled House panel investigating the U.S. Capitol riot staged a made-for-TV event last evening. Quick to blame former President Trump, Democrats accusing him of trying to topple the government, while Republicans insist it's a clear sign of the Democrats' desperation.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney had a word of warning for supporters of former President Trump.
There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Former presidential candidate Gary Bowers says, given what's at stake, it is important that Republicans push back hard.
I know a lot of people would like to go back to the politics of the 1950s where things were a lot calmer, but that's not the era we live in.
Bauer calls the hearings a joke and not a serious effort to find the truth about what really happened on January 6th. Bob Agnew reporting.
And a brutal day on Wall Street so far, this final trading day of the week. The Dow down 745 points, the NASDAQ off 382 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and start getting cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code SALEM for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. That's promo code SALEM. Remember, use promo code SALEM for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up.
The UK government planning to dispose of billions of dollars worth of unusable protective gear purchased for healthcare workers during the COVID crisis.
At the height of the pandemic, the British government rushed to buy masks, gloves, gowns and other protective equipment. But nearly $5 billion worth of the PPE purchased couldn't be used in hospitals. Now some of it will be burnt. The government says this will help generate power. The main opposition Labour Party has accused ministers of carelessly burning taxpayers' money. The Department of Health says it's misleading to say it's burning $5 billion of unusable PPE, and it made no apology for buying too much rather than too little.
That's a BBC's Lucy Manning. China once again attacking the theory that the coronavirus may have originated as a leak from a Chinese lab, Beijing calling it a politically motivated lie. News and analysis, townhall.com. The UN is on the grow.
Without opposition, Ecuador, Japan, Malta, Mozambique, and Switzerland were elected to join the powerful UN Security Council for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2023. Winning a seat on the 15-member council is considered a pinnacle of achievement for many countries because it gives them a strong voice on issues of international peace and security. Mozambique and Switzerland will be serving for the first time, while Japan sits for its 12th term. Ron DeRochster reporting.
Authorities in western Maryland say an employee opened fire at a manufacturing business yesterday afternoon, leaving 3 co-workers dead. 1 other critically injured before the suspect and a state trooper were wounded in a shootout. So far, there's been no word on a motive for that workplace shooting near the city of Hagerstown, Maryland. Once again on Wall Street this hour, stocks deep in the red, the Dow down 741 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast is calling for increasing clouds throughout the day today. High's going to be up to 76 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Well, Ambridge School Board met on Wednesday night. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano has more.
The Ambridge School Board voted Wednesday night and announced that its 2022-2023 budget of $52,995,542 was approved. Millage will remain at 83.4709 mills. The board voted to meet on Wednesday, July 13th, and canceled its July 20th meeting. The board approved resignations of the high school hall monitor, a 6th grade teacher, and ROTC instructor, effective June 3rd, 2022. A weightlifting coach, assistant football coach, and girls volleyball coach were hired. Students will return to school on August 24th, 2022. Elementary students will attend from 7:50 a.m. to 3:25 p.m. Middle school students from 7:20 a.m. to 2:55 p.m. High school from 7:25 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
As a reminder, today, Harmony Avenue in New Brighton Borough and Pulaski Township will be closed from the intersection at Allegheny Street by Woolly Bullies to the New Brighton Area School District entrance in Pulaski Township. Now, the road will be closed for maintenance, and according to a mass emailing sent out by the Borough of New Brighton, the road should be open sometime early this afternoon. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano is reporting that the Aliquippa Police Department and first responders responded to a 911 call after a male was stabbed in the 1000 block of Clinton Street in Aliquippa around 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. The unnamed male was flown to UPMC Presbyterian, and no other information has been released. Pennsylvania State Police and Beaver were called in to investigate, and no update has been released at this time, but we will get you more information as it becomes available. Jennifer Heinel of Ross Township says that she breached the Capitol on January the 6th to find shelter from the chaos outside. A federal judge sentenced her to 14 days in prison, 50 hours of community service for her actions. Some parents in the Seneca Valley School District are upset because board president Eric DiTullio shared a meme on his personal Facebook page allegedly making fun of actor Matthew McConaughey, who spoke at the White House earlier this week about the mass school shooting in his hometown of Uvalde, Texas. In his emotional speech, the actor talked about the victims, their families, and called for gun legislation. Some parents are calling for DiTullio to resign. He has since deleted the post from his Facebook page. The Supreme Court is allowing election officials to count mail-in ballots here in the state of Pennsylvania that lack a handwritten date but were received in time. The unsigned order Thursday applies to Lehigh County's judicial election from 2021, but Justice Samuel Alito warned in a dissent that the issue could affect the November elections. Last week, Alito had imposed a temporary hold on counting the ballots to give the justices more time to consider the matter. At the time, former hedge fund CEO David McCormick was locked in a tight contest with celebrity heart surgeon Dr. Mehmet Oz for the Republican U.S. Senate nomination. McCormick has since conceded to Dr. Oz. The United States Supreme Court is allowing election officials to count mail-in ballots in the state of Pennsylvania that lack a handwritten date but were received in time. The unsigned order yesterday applies to a Lehigh County judicial election from 2021, but Justice Samuel Alito warned in a dissent that the issue could affect the November elections. Last week, Alito had imposed a temporary hold on counting the ballots to give the justices more time to consider the matter. At that time, former hedge fund CEO David McCormick was locked in a tight contest with celebrity heart surgeon Dr. Mehmet Oz for the Republican U.S. Senate nomination. McCormick has since conceded to Oz.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Increasing clouds throughout the remainder of today. The high is going to be up to 76 degrees. Then a slight chance of showers between midnight and 5 a.m. Low is going to be down to 57 overnight tonight. Tomorrow for the Beaver Falls Car Cruise, a slight chance of showers after 11 a.m. Otherwise, it's going to be partly sunny throughout the day. It's going to be a beautiful day. High is going to be 77 degrees. Sunday, chance of showers with afternoon thunderstorms also possible. High is going to be 81. Then on Monday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 84. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
As promised, took a little bit to get the schedules worked out, but we finally did get it worked out. And I want to say, before we get into this, I want to say thank you. My guest for this hour is Beaver County Sheriff Tony Guy. This is being live feeded on Facebook. If you want to call with a question, you can. You know the numbers. You can also post the questions on the comment section of the Facebook feed. And Facebook is WBVP WMBA. You can search it. Also, all of the information about the Beaver Falls Car Cruise has been posted on our Facebook if you've got questions about that. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Eddie. What your listeners don't know is when I'm in here, I get to talk to you a little bit beforehand, and I got to look across this desk. And when Eddie's working now, he's got both of his earphones on, his headphones on right now. Mm-hmm. But when he's not working, he keeps one on and puts one back behind his ear.
Here, let's give him might as well turn this around to get.
And
this is a face for radio, brother.
I got to tell you, when he's got that half cocked on there, it looks like he got blindsided and he's looking out of the ear hole of his football helmet.
I've done that. I've done it where you get, and especially in youth football, where does it fit?
Oh, the helmets don't always fit, right?
Yeah, it's a bucket, and then the coach just spins your head back around. You're talking about this look.
That look, yeah,
that's
the one.
That's the face for radio. This is being live streamed for a reason. We're joking, and it's great to see you, but when I got in contact with you and saying you want to come in and talk about this, it's about heavy stuff, and it's about grown-up stuff, and I gave you a heads up. Here's what I want to ask you. You're cool with everything that I said can we talk about?
Yeah, and
well, you do realize that's not the norm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Eddie doesn't give me too much of a heads up. He just gives me general topics, and I think it works out better that way because it's more impromptu.
Right, and it's more honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more honest.
Absolutely.
I know the law enforcement community has paid attention to it more so than most people because of its effect and its perception of its effect. I ask you about the shootings in Texas, texting back and forth.
Yeah.
And you sent me, see if I can reach my phone. You sent me an article, and the article was about training.
Yeah.
And the article and what happened. We find out more and more information, but you're seeing it from much, much, much more educated eyes than I could ever see it. Do we know enough to be able to say here what happened?
Yeah, yes and no.
Okay.
We know enough to talk about what it appears to have happened, with the caveat that we've got to wait till some reports come out and some further investigation gets done.
Right.
And because it's really difficult to persecute people and without all the facts. And the last thing we want to do is
blame somebody,
make
right.
comments on
Right.
something, and it turns out to be untrue, and then we've besmirched someone's name or
right.
even a profession to that.
But when the stories come out, how often have you seen the latest story of this happened or that didn't happen, or timelines, and you think back? The article you sent me was about training.
Yeah.
As a law enforcement officer, how often do you train for it's such a grotesque term, a mass shooting incident?
Yeah, it's become part of standardized training, and I don't want to say that, there are updates that police officers have to do every year, and since Columbine or shortly thereafter, it's become a standard. It's become part of the kind of a staple of the training that we address this issue. And just to give you a little bit of my background, 25 years with the state police prior to becoming the sheriff here, and 15 of those years I was on the tactical team. So we not only trained for this kind of stuff extensively, but also helped to train other troopers in what their response would be. We have gone into schools and conducted training. So I'm fairly well versed in addressing these issues.
What's the difference between when you were working the highway and you were a tactical? In terms of what you had to deal with? You're not pulling people over going down 65. You're getting called for way more serious stuff.
Yeah, way more things that are way more potentially dangerous. That being said, training is huge, and this may be a good segue into what we're going to talk about. But training is huge, and we trained 3 to 4 days a month, as well as getting activated for incidents, which were barricaded gunmen, hostage situations, high-risk warrants, those kind of things. But that training and knowing that there was a selection process to go through to pick the people that are going to be in front of you and behind you and to your right and to your left really made me comfortable in dealing with those extreme situations. So I tell people a police officer on a lonely road late at night pulling a car over probably has a greater risk than a tactical team going through a door knowing there's people on the other side with guns, because we're prepared, we're trained, we know what to expect, and we know that we're, without sounding elite here, know that we're the best at this.
Is it, okay, it's bad, but it's known, and that's less difficult than the unknown?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
Are there some people that would make good police officers that aren't necessarily going to be good tactical unit officers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, law enforcement is such a broad profession.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with a guy who flew helicopters for most of his career.
Okay.
And so, and I worked with people who were public information officers, and I was a polygraph examiner in addition to that. And
You were?
Yeah, I worked undercover. Yeah, I did all kind of different things. But everybody finds a niche, and you find out what you are good at and where you can contribute the best, and you make that career. And so not everybody's cut out to be that tactical officer.
As a polygraph officer, were you ever tempted to come in and look at a person and go, look at that dude, he did it. We don't need to plug this stuff in.
Tempted.
In your head.
It crosses your mind, but you everybody gets the benefit of the doubt, and the process. You respect the process, and one of the first questions I would ask an investigator who wanted me to conduct a polygraph test, and
Mm-hmm.
who was assured that this was the guy that did it, and he just wanted me to verify that and hopefully get a confession from him. My first question was usually, what if he passes the polygraph test? What if you got the wrong guy here?
You're exactly right, because they were just looking for you to, cross the T's and dot the I's. Yeah. It's like, are you prepared if I go in here and give this guy a polygraph test and he passes it? What's your next move? What did the guy say when you told him?
Typically, that every detective, every officer was different. Some of them were a little bit more hard-headed about it, but once you do it for a while and they know what to expect from you, they know that if it doesn't go the way they think it's going to go, then they're just going to have to pivot and move in it, do more investigating.
Yeah. This ain't going to get this case solved. This guy is not going to be as helpful. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Tony Guy is the Beaver County Sheriff, used to do polygraphs. Is the Seinfeld episode true, that it's not a lie if I truly believe it?
Short answer is yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I understanding that in order, the polygraph works because you have a fear of getting exposed, getting caught.
What's it reading? Blood pressure?
Blood pressure,
okay.
Sweat on your fingertips, and breathing. As well as a couple other little things that they've added to it, some movement.
Biological stuff that most people aren't going to be able to, unless you're a Zen master, you're not going to be able to control it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. But if you actually did something and you don't believe that you did it, then you've got some mental health issues, and we try to screen that out prior to conducting a test. So, yeah, if you truly don't believe that you did something, then you could pass a polygraph test, but you've got some mental health issues.
Okay, it's going to bring up other issues, but if I believe it, my body is going to react like I'm answering truthfully.
Correct. Yeah, it's involuntary reactions.
How many minutes does it take to get up to speed? When you come in, you hook somebody up. It's 10, 15 minutes to hook somebody up to the polygraph.
So
you don't open with, did you do it?
No, the hooking up part doesn't come until the last probably half hour or so of the process. So there's a part where I tell them about how it works. I tell them what we're going to be doing, and then I review the case with them and get statements from them. I don't trust what the detective has done, because I've got to know what their current state of mind is on that day and what their recollection maybe is and how they perceive things. So you need something current. So it's typically 2.5, 3 hours.
Do you ever had anybody try and lie to you and then just give up? Every time the needle started jumping, they just look and see it and go, okay, I'm done.
That's common.
Is that it?
It is. That's
they
common.
They try to lie and then they see the blinky lights go off?
Yeah, and I become their buddy, and we stop talking about whether or not they did it and start talking about what their explanation is for why they did it.
You become a compassionate ear? Yeah, is it the good cop, bad cop thing?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's sincere, but
okay.
It's how do we get you through this?
Yeah. This is where, after the recognition of they know they're lying, they know that you know that they're lying.
Yeah.
Then it becomes, okay, this is reality. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, and it's generally, you're not a bad guy. You made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you are a bad guy. I don't know, but
yeah,
that's how you get them to open up and start talking about it. Yeah.
I want to ask you about guns. I have guns. You've got your sidearm.
Yeah.
As a gun owner, lifelong around the culture, love the Second Amendment. I struggle with the notion of an 18-year-old being able to buy a gun that can shoot hundreds of bullets in dozens of seconds.
Yeah.
As a law enforcement person, the police in Uvalde, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. You're talking about an 18-year-old kid that can at least create the perception of being more firepower than the law enforcement officials.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think about? Is that something that your views have changed?
Well, I love the way you ask these questions, Eddie. That's really good. Yeah. So
wait, you're buttering me up to confess to something later.
No, to get you to confess. But let me start here.
Okay.
I am a staunch believer in the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, and Article 1, Section 21 of the PA Constitution, which guarantees our rights to have firearms. And I'm also a history guy, and I understand that the people who wrote those documents weren't looking at hunting or, frankly, even self-protection. They were looking at creating an atmosphere in this fledgling nation that made sure that our politicians, our elected officials, knew that we were the ones in charge. And I'm not by any means subscribing to any type of insurrection or anything like that. That's a word that's
buzzword.
It certainly is a buzzword these days. That's not what I'm talking about. But we do need to reaffirm to our elected officials frequently that we run the show here. We elect them to represent us without question. But we, the people, is the bottom line. And you know, we run the show. And that being said, if you look historically, we are, in comparison to some other nations, we are a fairly young country.
Oh, yeah, we're a kid.
Yeah, but as a form of government, our Constitution has been in place for, 1770,
81 or something?
1781, 260 years or something like that, 200. And so that is a long time for a form of government to exist, and I believe it exists in large part because of the brilliance of our founders in putting together a document. It wasn't perfect, without question. The Constitution was not a perfect document, but based on the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, we put together a pretty solid structure
kind
for
of a template.
Self-governance.
Right.
Yeah. And the Second Amendment is a huge part of that, and that's what I say. Now, going to Uvalde and what people call assault weapons, or an AR-15 or an AK-47.
Right.
I would make the argument that guy who did that could have done just probably pretty darn close as much damage with a pistol and a handful of magazines.
Well, that's one of the things that gets tossed around with gun legislation. Where do you fall on red flag laws? Because I look at that. First thing I did, Tony, I looked up what are the rules in Japan.
Yeah.
And the stuff we're talking about, you have to get a doctor's note. They come to your house to make sure you've got a place to secure it. You can't get umpteen magazines, things like that.
So red flags, I look at checks and balances.
Okay.
Checks and balances. If you got a neighbor that doesn't like you and you're a gun guy, what's the easiest way for him to be a thorn in your side but to say that you're crazy or you made some threats? And if he could go into a courtroom and make these claims, or go to a public official and make these claims, and they're going to come and take away your guns without you having the ability to go into a courtroom and tell your side of the story,
and that's
or defend yourself.
People don't realize that. They come and get them, then you have a discussion.
Yeah, and so there's got to be those checks and balances. Everybody has rights. Those kids in Uvalde, and as a father and a grandfather, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine what those families are going through. It's devastating to me, I don't want to get emotional about that, but my goodness, I can understand why people are looking for any solution to those kind of issues. I get it. But we've really got to concern ourselves with the rights of all citizens. And some of the proposals that I've heard thrown about really don't do much with criminals, but really affect law-abiding citizens and cause them to be the ones that have to make changes in their lives. The criminals are going to keep going on and doing the same things they do. So I don't know if I answered your question. Maybe I danced around it a little bit, but I think it's not a yes or no question.
Exactly, and I think the fact that you recognize that, we talked off air, a lot of people don't recognize that it's a one or the other.
Yeah.
No, you absolutely answered it. More with Tony Guy. He's the Beaver County Sheriff. He is my guest on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, a law firm of AV-rated attorneys and super lawyers. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, helping you put your life back together. Attorney Joe George.
You worry about getting better. You worry about taking care of the medical side of things. We'll take care of all the legal side. I don't want you worrying about whether a letter needs to go out to an insurance company. You worry about getting to your doctor's appointments. You worry about getting your physical therapy appointments. You worry about getting better. If you have to have surgery, you worry about take you back and forth to the surgical center or the hospital. And all those things, I try to put my client at ease from the standpoint of look, this is where things are going to go. You just worry about getting there on your side of things.
For your initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Tune in every Friday at 12:30 for another insightful edition of Living Well, a special segment on Beaver County Radio designed to help you enjoy the best, most fulfilling, and healthiest life possible. Hosted by Dr. Joseph Maroon and Jeff Boast, and presented by St. Barnabas. Living Well, Fridays at 12:30, right here on Beaver County Radio, WBVP Beaver Falls, WMBA Ambridge, along with 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas studios.
Can tuning into a radio show really change your life? It can when you listen to Teleform this Tuesday in the 9 o'clock hour. Tom Young from First Consultants in Beaver will be the special guest expert and talk about how managing and thinking differently about the money that you already have can potentially create financial freedom for many of you. You can also watch the live video stream of the show on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. That's this Tuesday from 9:10 to 10 o'clock right here on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
Rodgers & Hammerstein's masterpiece, Carousel, the musical, opens Friday, June 17th at Lincoln Park Performing Arts Center and runs through June 26th. Hailed as the best musical of the 20th century by Time magazine and featuring hit songs such as You'll Never Walk Alone, If I Loved You, and June is Bustin' Out All Over. This magical and majestic classic is a can't-miss piece of musical theater. Tickets on sale now by calling the Lincoln Park box office at 724-576-4644 or by visiting lincolnparkarts.org.
The growling and purring heard from the filing.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning, as today's forecast is calling for increasing clouds throughout the day today. High's going to be up to 76 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Well, Ambridge School Board met on Wednesday night. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano has more.
The Ambridge School Board voted Wednesday night and announced that its 2022-2023 budget of $52,995,542 was approved. Millage will remain at 83.4709 mills. The board voted to meet on Wednesday, July 13th, and canceled its July 20th meeting. The board approved resignations of the high school hall monitor, a sixth grade teacher, and ROTC instructor, effective June 3rd, 2022. A weightlifting coach, assistant football coach, and girls volleyball coach were hired. Students will return to school on August 24th, 2022. Elementary students will attend from 7:50 a.m. to 3:25 p.m. Middle school students from 7:20 a.m. to 2:55 p.m. High school from 7:25 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
As a reminder, today, Harmony Avenue in New Brighton Borough and Pulaski Township will be closed from the intersection at Allegheny Street by Woolly Bullies to the New Brighton Area School District entrance in Pulaski Township. Now, the road will be closed for maintenance, and according to a mass emailing sent out by the Borough of New Brighton, the road should be open sometime early this afternoon. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano is reporting that the Aliquippa Police Department and first responders responded to a 911 call after a male was stabbed in the 1000 block of Clinton Street in Aliquippa around 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. The unnamed male was flown to UPMC Presbyterian, and no other information has been released. Pennsylvania State Police and Beaver were called in to investigate, and no update has been released at this time, but we will get you more information as it becomes available. Pennsylvania State Police at the Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh are reporting the 57-year-old Pittsburgh resident Richard White is being charged by troopers with forgery and counterfeiting after he tried to use motion picture money to play a table game. Troopers say that the incident occurred on May the 14th at 4:21 p.m. on the gaming floor at the Rivers Casino. Troopers say that White, a casino patron, attempted to buy in at a table game in the amount of $300. As the dealer counted out White's money, he abruptly grabbed one of the $20 bills. He began inspecting it and tore the bill in pieces. As the dealer proceeded to count out the rest of White's bills, he attempted to grab the notes from the dealer and demanded its return. The dealer refused and advised the supervisor of the situation. Rivers Casino Security interviewed White, and he denied knowing the money was fake. He did acknowledge that the bill looked fake, and that is why he grabbed it from the dealer. He became nervous, and that's why he destroyed the note. White refused to identify where he received the fake bills and would only refer to the man as Bretta Man, despite knowing his identity. Troopers reviewed video footage and then filed charges against White. Pennsylvania state lawmakers are advancing proposed new limits on fireworks in response to growing complaints after a 5-year-old state law greatly liberalized their sales and use. The House of Representatives voted 160 to 38 on Wednesday for legislation that would restrict their use to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. except during July the 2nd through the 4th and December the 31st, when they could be used until 1 a.m. There would be greater penalties for improper sales or illegal use. Until the 2017 law change, fireworks in Pennsylvania were largely limited to sparklers and similar novelties. The changes permitted the sale of full array of fireworks that meet federal consumer standards.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Increasing clouds throughout the remainder of today. The high is going to be up to 76 degrees. Then a slight chance of showers between midnight and 5 a.m. Low is going to be down to 57 overnight tonight. Tomorrow for the Beaver Falls Car Cruise, a slight chance of showers after 11 a.m. Otherwise, it's going to be partly sunny throughout the day. It's going to be a beautiful day. High is going to be 77 degrees. Sunday, chance of showers with afternoon thunderstorms also possible. High is going to be 81. Then on Monday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 84. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Where the listeners of Beaver County have a voice. Teleforum with Eddie Crow, 724-843-1888, 724-774-1888.
1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, and 95.7 FM and live streaming. Go to beavercountyradio.com and get the free app. All the different ways that you can hear Tony. Tony Guy is my guest. He is the Beaver County Sheriff. And we're talking about a whole lot of stuff. When you see people scream about gun control,
yeah,
how far down do you read what they're screaming before you go, okay, that makes sense, or that's stupid, or what are they talking about? Because I see it. I know you pay more attention to it because of your job. The people that say, well, nobody should have any guns ever. That's ludicrous on its surface. Yeah. But when you see people talk about gun control, what would you change as a law enforcement person that can have to deal with this every day?
Wow, that's a great question, man.
What would you make it?
You know, I hadn't given a thought, and that's the beauty of doing this the way we do it, Eddie. But seriously, let's start hammering violent offenders hard.
Like you ain't coming back out if you get busted, and you ain't coming back out for a while.
You know, just think about it. Well, you know, if you catch a shoplifter and he's been prosecuted 10 times, you know, the punishment goes up. But that's because he's been caught 10 times.
Yeah.
How many things has he stolen that he hasn't been caught for?
That's the old drunk driving argument. If for every one time a person gets caught, they probably did that 30 or 40 or 50 times.
Yeah, that, without a doubt. But I think severe and harsh penalties for violent offenders. Throw the key away, man. Because now we're not just addressing these sporadic but ever increasing mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
We're really addressing urban violence, which is disproportionately affecting people who probably are not well equipped to handle those things. You know, the poorest amongst us, I'll say, because the urban areas, it's not the rich people who live on Park Avenue that are being affected by it.
Well, it is in the gated part.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It's generally the people in the public housing and low income, and they're subject to this stuff, and they're getting victimized constantly, and they can't live a normal and healthy life, and it is predators that are out there, and those predators need to be taken off the street and dealt with expeditiously and severely. That's my opinion.
Have the courts become more lenient in your time as being in law enforcement? Because you've been in law enforcement as a state trooper, worked and retired. Now you're a sheriff. You've done this a long time. Are the courts more or less hard-nosed than they used to be?
I think it ebbs and flows, and I would say if you're talking in really general terms, I would say less. They're less harsh.
Okay.
However, there's also there's a positive about trying to get people some treatment, especially early on in a criminal career. I would say that the vast majority of people, and I don't have statistics to throw at you, who have committed crimes are not necessarily criminals as much as they are people with addiction and or mental health issues who commit crimes. And so if we can catch those people early on before they've committed a dozen violent crimes, catch them early on and find the proper treatment and guidance for them, maybe we can quit spending so much money on housing people with mental health and addiction problems and make them productive members of society. I'm no expert in that area, so I can't give you the nuts and bolts of that, but to me that makes sense. Don't make jail a revolving door.
Right.
Get these people out of there. Get them with a job and paying taxes, and now that benefits everybody.
And most of all them, because they're a functioning member of society.
Without question.
Of the crimes that you have to deal with, and what's the fancy word for it? You do your investigation, all of that, you get called. Percentage-wise, give me a ballpark figure. How many crimes are related to what you just said? It's either mental illness or substance abuse, or mental illness that's being self-treated with substance.
It's all mixed together.
Yeah.
It's codependency or whatever it is they call it.
Right. Self-medicating.
Sure, absolutely. I hesitate to give you a number, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't half.
Okay.
At least half, maybe you need to have, I hate to do this to Bill, maybe you need to have the warden in here sometime and talk about those things, because they got all kind of treatment programs at the jail. And, you get the people right across the street here at Human Services Building who provide mental health and drug addiction.
Yeah, I know
services.
The Beaver County Jail, David Lozier, they've got treatment plans.
Yep.
Is the court system starting to recognize that that's a better way to go?
I think there are, I don't believe.
To at least try to go that way?
Yeah, they find alternate punishment. They have names for it, and I can't think of what it is right now, but they have
diversion programs.
Exactly, diversion tracks that they put people on.
As a person that was in one.
Well, there you go. But early on, I say, that's absolutely useful. But there comes a point in time where you got to say, no, this guy needs to reap the consequences of what he sowed.
Is your tolerance for criminals more or less than it used to be?
Well, we talked about me being a polygraph examiner, and off the air we talked about talking to these people and getting them to talk about what they did and why they did it, getting a confession, so to speak, out of them, and you had to kind of be their friends. So to get that information, and so at that time, my probably perceived tolerance was pretty high.
Okay.
When in reality, I knew what these people were up to and what their ethics and morals were. But tolerance, I keep a steady keel. I keep an even keel, I think. It is what it is. It's always going to be with us.
Because I've asked other police officers, including family members, I said, man, I had one cousin pull over an uncle one night. And he told me, I said, how was it? And he goes, well, he was kind of hard-headed, and which didn't surprise me. But I asked him, I said, how do you deal with that? Because police officers, and you'd be the first to know this, I'm not running into Tony Guy on a social setting most of the time. If you're at work.
Yeah.
It's already high tension for whatever reason that got you called in.
Yeah.
How do you keep your cool when somebody is bound and determined they're just going to act like a horse's rear end?
Well, back in the old days, back in the old days, you were respectful to people because you knew that you were going to more or less have the final say.
Okay. It's like, I don't need to show you I'm in charge. I'll demonstrate it.
Hey, vent, buddy, all you want, but you're still getting a ticket.
This is happening.
Complain about why ain't I out there chasing bank robbers all you want.
How often do you hear that? There's real crime going on somewhere.
Yeah, and those are usually the people who don't like to accept responsibility for one, but they're just venting. So it's yes sir, no ma'am, and then sign here please.
Yes sir, no sir, hands on the wheel at 10 and 2.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw something day before yesterday, maybe yesterday. Somebody was running out and trying to get too close to Joe Biden's motorcade.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I see that.
Uniformed police officer, tackled the person.
Mm-hmm.
The person then reached up and slapped the ball cap off the cop's head. And the look tells me that if you're watching this on Facebook, you just saw, and the discussion's over. The person's pinned down.
Yeah.
Okay. And even as a kid, I learned once you're on your back and they're sitting on your chest, let it go.
Yeah.
Well, they reached up and slapped the cop's hat off his head.
Yeah.
And the cop slapped him.
Yeah.
And first thing I thought was, hit him again.
That's a visceral reaction, right? Yeah.
Well, man, look, if you hit me,
yeah,
I'm going to hit you back. But the cop slapped him on to re-control the situation and then didn't. And I thought, I couldn't do that job because if you pop me one, I'm going to pop you one to regain control, but I'm probably going to pop you 3 or 4 more just to make sure you understand your situation.
I'll say this, Eddie, throughout the process of arresting somebody and going through the prosecution, an officer has a lot of discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of people don't know that, do they?
No. And
you can't do that. Actually, yes, I can.
Yeah, and frankly, that discretion can work to that person's benefit if they are respectful with the officer. So if you're thinking about slapping a cop's hat off,
it was as soon as it happened,
fighting back,
that's a bad
or even arguing, the chance of you getting a break later on down the line is probably diminished at that point.
You have now been specifically noticed by people, and they're going to remember that.
And I don't say that to say it's like retaliation, but there is some gray areas, and why not be respectful and take advantage of that?
Well, I think that's human nature. If you've got a little bit of a leeway with the decision that will affect me, and I've been decent about it, I'm probably going to get more consideration than if I've been a horse's rear end about it.
I can tell you in almost every case, and it was kind of routine, when I'd go before a magistrate for a traffic violation, the magistrate would always ask, Trooper, was the gentleman respectful to you?
How was it?
Yeah, honestly, and the judge takes that into account. So part of the picture, man.
Tony Guy, Beaver County Sheriff, is my guest. In the time left, I want to back up a little bit. We were talking about Texas.
Yeah.
And Uvalde and training and your past as a tactical team. You said you're training people and there's more training coming up.
So the DA has just started down the path of putting some people together to conduct a couple of symposiums this summer for law enforcement leaders and school leadership throughout the county. They're going to hold a couple of fairly big events for these symposiums, and it's going to cover a list of things. Starting with an introduction and talking about what has occurred, and then talking about what we need to do to harden the schools, to make them not so soft targets. Really simple stuff and hopefully inexpensive stuff like, making sure doors are secured, making sure that everybody there understands the concept of run, hide, fight, and we could go on for hours about that stuff, but also recognizing potential perpetrators of these things, and finding being put in touch with the right people to notify them if you see. It's funny, there's been surveys done amongst teachers after these things happen, and the teachers and administrators are asked, if you had to guess who this was going to be, give me 3 names. And sure enough, the bad guy who did this is going to be in those 3 names. So if you're recognizing somebody with a problem, let's be preemptive and address that thing.
Well, but let me ask you this. How do you walk that line? We were talking about red flag laws earlier.
Yeah.
And I've known some of the same people. If you said, okay, pick one person from your high school that was going to do something heinous, I could have given you a list of, okay, if it's going to happen, it's going to be this dude right here.
Yeah. So keep in mind, often we're talking about juveniles here. So
true.
So cooperating parents is huge.
Yes.
That can be huge.
Well, that's the Buffalo
Yeah.
The Buffalo shooting.
That's right.
The parents knew everything that guy was into, including some dark, heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about it.
So awareness. But we're also going to be talking about what school teachers and administrators should expect if something like this happens. Number one, what they should do, what they should expect police to do when they come in, and how that all plays out right through keeping the building under police control through an investigation, and when they can come back in, and media relations, and it's going to be a day-long symposium, and they're going to do it twice this summer, thanks to our district attorney David Lozier here, and I really see a whole lot of value. Some people might think it's reactive to do it now after Uvalde, but it hasn't happened here yet, and so I wouldn't call that reactive. I'd still call this proactive. It is a good idea. It needs to be done. And we're getting tremendous buy-in from the schools and from local law enforcement.
So you've talked to some of the school super and school boards, and they're like, "Oh, absolutely."
They're going to be part of it, and we're going to bring in trainers from both experts within the county and from outside to talk about some of these issues.
As a law enforcement person, what are your thoughts about teachers being armed? That's a very broad brush I'm painting with.
I would not write it off as we can't do this. I would say that, but you've got to put really strict requirements in place to allow that. Something beyond a minimum level background investigation, something beyond just.
You're talking about a skills test, or you would want training.
I think you'd have to do that before you're going to let them come, as well as mental health issues. Not just talking about schools, but all places of business. Very often, again, I don't have stats for you, but very often the perpetrators of these things are the people who work there.
Like yesterday.
And so who knows if that teacher has a bad day,
right?
What they had dealt with at home, or with another teacher yesterday, they got into an argument. So you've really got to be somewhat careful with screening people to give them that ability to carry.
Do you think that's protected by the Second Amendment? Because what you just said makes perfect sense to me. I wasn't allowed to drive a car before I demonstrated to an authority figure that I was capable of driving a car.
Listen, the really, really strong pro-gun people understand that schools, certain public buildings, are off limits. Can't have a gun there. So I don't think
like a courthouse,
schools, federal buildings, those kind of places. I really think that you're not going to get a whole lot of pushback from Second Amendment people in regards to that, in regards to the strict requirements to allow somebody to carry there.
Armed guards in front of schools.
I think you do need to have an armed presence there, and I've heard people
visible. Specifically visible, or
I think you need to use both.
Okay,
visible is good. It's a deterrent.
Okay, like a TSA flight. Some you can see they're there, some you don't.
Yeah, I think visible can be a good deterrent, but I also think that if you're visible but you have a routine, that makes it easy for the bad guy to overcome. So visible and invisible kind of works a little bit.
Visible and varied.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. You can have all the visibility in the world, but if it's by the same schedule,
they're going to look for the soft underbelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What should I have asked you today that I didn't?
So it's a great question, and I always ask that when I'm interviewing people too. So I do want to say this. I mentioned to you earlier. What do I got? A few minutes?
You got as long as you got a gun on your hip. How long you want to go, man?
Listen, I said to myself, I wanted to mention this to you. I ran into Mark Peterson last night at the United Way recognition dinner.
Oh, yeah. Mike Rubino's retiring, too.
Mike Rubino's retiring. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Mike's done a great job for the county. And raised last year $1.1 million through the United Way, and Mike is retiring. They're looking for somebody to replace him, so if that's a plug out there for those guys. But Mark, ran into Mark. I understand he's still doing well with WBVP, WNBA, and the greater...
no longer the owner, but still the boss, I think.
Right. But I also want to say this. One of my chief deputy was recognized at that recognition dinner, and he was, I got to pull up my phone here. He was recognized with a Community Leader Award. Paul Radadovich, Rat.
Rat?
Rat.
That's a great nickname.
Oh, everybody knows him as Rat, trust me. But for 25 years, he has run a golf outing for Cancer and Heart Association of Beaver County and has raised, over that period of time, well over $500,000 or so. And they are one of the members of the United Way. You know, they kind of raise money mutually, and Rat was recognized. And it was a really nice event. Saw a lot of good people there. So kudos to Mike Rubino for the work that he's done here in Beaver County, and Godspeed into your retirement, whatever that might be, and kudos to my Chief Deputy, Paul Radadovich.
All right, let me ask you about tomorrow. Are you going to be in the middle of the Beaver Falls car cruise, or are you going to stay the heck away from it?
No, I hope to be down here for a little while. I'm kind of a car guy myself. I love old cars. So.
Make me a promise. If you get down here, you come see us. We're going to be right up front all day.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I certainly will. I saw you got the Pittsburgh thing going on with the folding chairs out there in the park.
Oh, right on. You know what? You're a cop. Let me ask you this. Is that a binding contract with society? If I put a folding chair out, it counts, right?
In southwestern Pennsylvania, it is, man. That's as good as law.
You heard it. He's the sheriff, man. Tony, thank you for coming in, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Appreciate it.
This.
Tony Guy, Sheriff, Beaver County. You hear that? It is totally binding. Fold those chairs, put them out, and if they say something, the sheriff said it was cool, man.
It's amazing just how much most people don't know about Aliquippa Giant Eagle. Obviously, everybody knows it's a great grocery store and all that, but get this. Did you know Aliquippa Giant Eagle is the #1 place in Beaver County for grilling season? Nobody takes grilling more seriously than Aliquippa Giant Eagle. A full assortment of steaks and chops, along with the best seafood in the Beaver Valley, is available right now. And here's something else you probably didn't know. You can also get that beer and wine to enjoy on the patio while you're grilling at Aliquippa Giant Eagle too. There's no need to stop anywhere else. Who knew? As if all that wasn't amazing enough, did you know that you can order what you want ahead of time for convenient curbside express pickup? Search Aliquippa Giant Eagle, then click the Shop Curbside tab. Remember, if you've got a grill, you need Aliquippa Giant Eagle, located in the Green Garden Plaza.
The growling and purring heard from the finely tuned engines cruising the avenue in Beaver Falls on Saturday can lead to more happy pet sounds in area homes. That's because the Beaver Falls Turners is hosting a benefit for the Beaver County Humane Society this Saturday during the Beaver Falls Car Cruise. Toys, food, and cash donations for the Humane Society will be accepted in the Turner's parking lot on 6th Avenue from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. At 7:30, the band Rock Ave takes the stage, and donations will continue to be accepted all night long. That's this Saturday, June the 11th, at the Beaver Falls Turners.
Spring is in the air, so put some spring in your step and head out to Al's Corner in Koppel. Whether you're looking for a quick lunch or dinner or even your favorite snack, Al's Corner is the place to go. Al's also has lunch and dinner specials Monday through Friday, like tacos on Tuesdays and their world-famous beef tips over noodles on Thursdays. Al's Corner is open 7 days a week from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. The outside grill will be opening in May, and follow Al's on Facebook for news about opening day of the grill plus all their other specials. Al's Corner is located at the corner of Route 18 and 351 in Koppel.
It's always the right time to shop the Hopewell Shopping Center, no matter what the season, no matter what the reason. It truly is your neighborhood shopping place. With such a large variety of businesses that offer food, shopping, fine dining, and quick-serve restaurants, personal services, and recreation, the Hopewell Shopping Center will be your one-stop for everything you need whenever you need it. Just click on BeaverCountyRadio.com, the Hopewell Shopping Center directory, for a complete look of merchants today, and get shopping at your neighborhood shopping place, the Hopewell Shopping Center.
I'm Patty.
And I'm Bob. We're retired, and we live at St. Barnabas in the Village.
We used to have a house.
Lived in it for 40 years.
Raised our kids.
But it became too much. The upkeep, the stairs.
Moving seemed like such a hassle. We didn't even know where to start, so we didn't.
Until we met Cindy at St. Barnabas.
She talked us through our options.
Yeah, and she helped us with our move and all the arrangements.
There was so much stuff. Who knew we had 3 fondue pots?
But she made it easy.
So easy.
Now we enjoy ourselves.
Golf, the pool, new friends, shuttles to where we want to go.
The pub and the food.
So good.
There wasn't a long-term commitment or any large fees.
And they have a healthcare system on campus with doctors if we need it. The kids really like that.
The kids like to come and eat with us.
There's an easier, worry-free way to retire at the Village at St. Barnabas. Come visit us for a free and informative counseling session and personal tour.
I can't believe you waited so long.
I can't believe you waited so long.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and America's largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies through our many varied programs, including free safety equipment donations, free officer survival training,